Hi, everybody. My name is Alicia Stratman. I work for Cache County as one of the new 4-H coordinators, but before that position, I was a staff assistant in Cache County. Just a little bit about me. I got my degree from Utah State in English and Communication Studies. I then worked for a marketing firm for 3 years, and I learned a ton there about marketing and PR and design. And when I quit there, I started working for Extension because I loved it as a kid and I thought, hey, why not? And I saw an opportunity to use my public relations and marketing skills to help better Cache County. Because really, if you don't have your events online, then to the rest of the world, we don't exist. And I think it's important for Extension to be digitally, I guess, inept and digitally aware of what's happening so that other people can see the events that we have going on. Besides doing 4-H coordination stuff, I love to read, I love to dance, I love to sing, and yesterday I binged 3 hours of Forensic Files. So that's just a little bit about me. Today I just wanted to go over some things for specifically staff assistants, because I know sometimes as a staff assistant you feel like just a secretary. And the truth is you're not. You are way more than a secretary. You're way more than somebody who just answers phones. You really are the face of Extension. And when people come into the county offices, they see your face first. They recognize your face. And honestly, you're the gatekeeper. There's a reason you're called that. And so when I moved on to my new position as a 4-H coordinator, I made my new staff assistant, who is awesome. Her name is Courtney. I made her this little book that said, you're more than a secretary. And it was just all of the things that staff assistants do to help us. And now I'm super grateful for Courtney and everything that she does to help me, because I have a lot on my plate, and being able to have her help me with stuff takes a lot off of what I need to do. So that's just a little bit about me. The first thing that I want to talk about before getting into marketing an event or talking about design or social media is, again, staff assistants really are the face of Extension. When people walk in, you should immediately greet them with a smile. How's your day going? What can I help you with? And if you don't know the answer to a question they ask, there's nothing wrong with saying, let me get back to you. I think too often we feel bad because we can't help, but most people just are fine with a phone call. So answering the phone with a smile, like when people walk in, having a really good smile, and just being warm and friendly, because that's their first experience. And if they come in and it's like a cold environment and there's some person sitting behind the desk and they're on their phone, like that doesn't look very good on Extension. So that's just something that I wanted to plug in there, that being a staff assistant is so much fun because you do get to work with the public a lot. And it might try your patience, but that's okay. So what I wanted to cover today was how to use these 3 marketing tools that I'm going to go over in order to help better market your events and your county happenings online. These are not things that should take over your job. There are other things that you need to be doing for sure, but oftentimes there is an opportunity to carve out some time in your week to sit down and plan with your agents, plan with your staff, what kind of events are coming up and how you can help get them online. Some faculty and staff and new coordinators, if you have someone like me, they'll make a lot of their own stuff and then they'll just ask for your help, but some counties don't even know where to start. So that's kind of where I'm headed today. We're going to talk about Canva and how Canva has changed the way that non-graphic designers can design. We're going to talk about Hootsuite and how in one fell swoop you can schedule an entire week's worth of posts on Facebook and Instagram. And then we'll talk about MailChimp, which has, again, changed our county, at least, because we've been able to see direct correlation between sending out an email and getting results in our camps and classes and other programming that faculty might be doing. So to start, I want to talk about your role as kind of the event and calendar coordinator in your office. Your job is to know all the happenings that are happening. So whether that's a 4-H camp or an agriculture event or a pesticide training, or maybe they're having a special presentation at the library about beekeeping, or maybe your FCS agent is doing canning questions. So you need to be in the know, which means getting to know your faculty and staff. I tended to be the squeaky wheel and asking my faculty and staff, what have you got planned? What have you got going on? What news can you share with me? And I had a document that each agent had their own little heading, and underneath each heading, I put what they were doing that week. So under horticulture, I would go to our horticulture agent and I'd say, what programming, what news have you heard? Like, what kind of things should we talk about this week? And they would just give me bullet points, and then I would go and create the things. Same with our ag agents or our FCS agents. So you really control the calendar, and your job is to make sure that calendar and that information is out to the public. People don't check newspapers or radio anymore, maybe radio a little bit, depending on your county, but they check online. And if it's not updated, then it shows that you're not doing anything. And our counties are doing great things, so you should show. So you, like I said, you might have to ask on a weekly basis, and once you start asking and getting them in the habit, then they'll be able to do it all on their own, and they'll just say, hey, I saw this great thing. Another place to get content is using things like the National Day Calendar. So our Facebook page, we use National Day Calendar for things like National Chocolate Chip Cookie Day, and then our FCS agent can share a fun recipe, or maybe it's like National Service Day, and we can highlight one of our 4-H'ers and the service that they did in their county. You can also use the IPM email blast that sends out from the university to get some content for insects and pesticides and diseases that are happening, and so that's really great horticulture and agriculture content. I've also used content from just fact sheets. So if there's something that I feel like our county is getting a lot of questions on. So during canning season this year, I felt like we had a lot of questions about the acidity in tomatoes. So we found a fact sheet and I verified it with our FCS agent, and then we put it in a post, and that was simple. And then just listen to things in your county. Like I said, I noticed, I didn't ask my FCS agent, I just noticed that we're getting a ton of canning questions on tomatoes. So I incorporated that into our Facebook. So there's kind of 3 different Facebook posts you can do. There's like a funny post, which you need humor on your Facebook page or it'll die. There's kind of brand building, which is, for extension, our brand is knowledge, and it's sharing knowledge, and it's extending because we're professors of the people. So it's about bringing what we know to the public. So a graphic about canning would be great, or maybe like a link to a fact sheet about why it's stressful for cows to be moved from one facility to another. And then the third kind is events. So what is happening in your county? So for instance, in my county, we have a couple pesticide trainings coming up. We've got a lot of STEM 4-H things. And then in December, we've got a 4-H quilting night. But like in January, we might start Master Gardeners. We might start other 4-H clubs. We've got some other agriculture programming come May. Summer is crazy busy for extension, I get that, but if you can stay on top of this and get in the habit now while it's slow, I think you'll really benefit from it when it gets busy. So there are 3 tools that I use when I am marketing, and specifically this I'm going to cover for if you had an event. So I'm going to use the example as a hypothetical photography camp that I, as a coordinator, have asked my staff assistant to help me with. So maybe you hear about something like this, and you as a staff assistant approach your faculty or staff and say, hey, I'd like, or like, what can we do to market this event? So the first thing that I do is, I'm going to share my screen here. You're going to go to Canva. So Canva is my best friend. I've been using Canva for 4 years, almost 5 years. I actually did it. I found it first as an undergraduate student at Utah State needing to do a technology presentation, and I love it. I've been using it so much that they emailed me a couple weeks ago and asked me to be an ambassador, and I really would rather not do that because then I have to link all my designs to them, and I don't want that. But Canva is amazing. It's great for digital. It's great for 1-page flyers, maybe front and back flyers. I don't recommend it for big books. If you're making something that needs to be printed in a large scale, I would either make it on InDesign or Illustrator or call marketing at the state office, because it makes it a lot easier if you're making something bigger. But for the purpose of what I'm talking about, this is a great tool for staff assistants to use because you can make so many different things on here. So I just wanted to show you, these are some of the things that I've designed on Canva. I designed our Teen Council logo. Here, I'll click into this. That is going to go on like shirts so people can, it's like a marketing thing. I think shirts are a great way to market. People wear it around. It's free well, not free, but it's advertising. I've also made this like Cache County 4-H book. So this is like our Cache County Horse 4-H like logo, I guess you'd call it. I don't know, symbol, that when people see this in my email blasts, they know it's about horses. You can make Instagram stories in here. You can make, I made all my fact sheets for my county in here, so I'll open this. We made these like fact/impact sheets that we gave to our county so we could show like, hey, look at what Extension's doing. And it's so simple to use. Granted, a lot of these that I made from scratch, but I'm gonna show you the great thing about Canva, which is templates, in the sense that they have so many things for free on the side that you can use that don't require you to have any design background. I mean, obviously you should know your colors that do and do not go together, but anyway, so let's say my my staff or my 4-H coordinator or 4-H faculty came to me and said, Alicia, we want to plan a photography camp for 4-H. Like, can you help us market that? The first thing that I would do is go and I'm going to make a social media post. So I tend to keep my social media posts square so they look good on Facebook and Instagram. It's just easier. So I made one today in the afternoon because I wanted to show you kind of what Canva could do, and that way I didn't sit here just messing around with it. But this is one that I made today, just threw it together. Photography camp, cute little picture, the cost, information, whatever. So I put that one together on my own. This was one that I actually took from a template. You can see over here this recently used template. I literally just searched for photography and I came up with like all these templates that I could use. So what you do is if you want to make, oh yeah, I made that one too. If you want to use a template, you just type in something. So for instance, this is a photography camp. Sometimes they don't have the categories that you necessarily need, but this at least gives you a start. You can also type in, if you're a 4-H staff assistant, green, and it comes up with all these green. Or if you're doing something for all of Extension, here's navy. Like, they tag it really, really well to be able to find templates. But we're gonna go back to the photography one. So let's say we're gonna do a photography camp. I'm gonna use, this one's cute. Okay, so there is my photography camp template and what I can base my design off of. So then I would just fill in my information. So we'll just call this is a lot of pressure to type with people watching, photography camp. And then maybe I would change this to my county name, Cache County 4-H, and then down here I would just put simple information, November, oh my heck, 13th at 6 p.m. 123 Maple Street. Very simple, and this is something that will go on social media. You want to put as little text as possible on the graphic, because if there's more text than it should be for social media, then the Facebook algorithm will actually ding it. So you can put more information in the text of your Facebook post. But I actually hate yellow. I like to do all of my 4-H stuff at least as much as I can with as much green as possible and paint the town green. That's kind of what I'm trying to do. So I would go in here and change my background color to the 4-H green. So what's really nice in Canva is you can set up these palettes, I guess. So I have one for like my personal photography and a couple other like side projects that I used to work on. We have one for cache makers, but you can type in the hex code for the 4-H green. So if we wanted to type it in, you just hit the plus button and then type it in here. But I already have it pre-programmed, which you can do on your own in, I'm going really fast, but you can do it over here in Brand Kit. And you can add brand colors here. So I have all the USU colors already programmed into my Canva, so I don't have to look it up every time. So I'm going to change the background to green, and we're going to change this text to green. And that's really actually too dark, so you change it to white. And you know what design should and should not look like. Think about posters that catch your eye. I use Pinterest for a lot of my ideas, like, oh, that's a good poster. Like, oh, that would be a great way to design that without like stealing, but the basic idea. So these are 4 different designs that I made in Canva, and each one is a little different and each one's going to attract a different audience. I feel like this third one, this one's way more like feminine, and it might be more towards like the artsy girls, whereas maybe something more like this could attract both genders. And we want to make sure in our graphics we are trying to match the audience we're reaching. So if you're trying to get teenagers as opposed to like young kids or parents of young kids, you'll use a different design. So that's the basics of Canva as far as your social media graphic goes. But then I also want to put up flyers. I want to make sure that it goes out on my MailChimp, and I want to make sure that it goes out on the extension's website. So what I do then is actually create a brand new design, and Canva has these already pre-programmed templates. So blog banner, email header, Tumblr graphic, logo, all this stuff that make it easy to just change your design into. Now I pay for Canva Premium, which is $10 a month. And it is really worth every $10 that I spend, because you're able to resize easier. It gives you a lot of different fonts. It gives you more like elements like this to use. So I love to use Canva Premium, but I also went 3 years without using Canva Premium and was just fine. The other place you can look for little elements like this is a place called kisspng.com, and they have like kind of open domain graphics that help make your designs better. So this one was actually from kisspng, and then I just uploaded it. And I believe there's a more in-depth marketing webinar on Canva that you can go check out to learn more about uploading, changing text, changing colors, that kind of thing. So for the sake of this webinar, we're gonna take this design, and because that's the one I just made, I'm gonna delete these other ones, and I'm gonna resize this. If you don't have premium, you have to do it a little bit different. So I'll show you both. So if we're gonna resize this in premium, I just hit resize, and I copy and resize because that way it keeps my original social media graphic, but it creates a brand new flyer for me. Look, I made a flyer, ta-da, it was like super easy. So then at this point, the flyer I would put more information on. So I would put, I'm gonna ungroup this text, hang on. Maybe I would put more of a description up here, like, come learn about photography, $10 a person, register online. It's, I don't know what else you put there, but you'd put more information, and then you can drag and move these around to where you want them to be. And then I don't want them to be that way. Okay, so that's how you would resize if you had premium. And I really recommend premium, but like I said, you can also do it just normal. So if you're gonna do it in a without premium way, I select all the elements on my board, and I would make a new flyer, and then I would just copy it. So the only thing about doing it this way is your elements kind of don't go as clean as this one did. It doesn't spread out, but you can easily just drag and spread them out yourself to where you want them. So those are two ways. So once you've done a flyer, so there's kind of, I guess, 4 or 5 different graphics I make. I make a social media graphic to be shared on Facebook and Instagram. I make a flyer. I'm making a Facebook event cover, and then I make an extension calendar graphic. So that way I have the same kind of branded message across all the platforms that people could possibly be seeing. Once I've done all those, the next step that I do is Hootsuite. So Hootsuite is the scheduling program that helps you to schedule posts for, the free version is up to 30 posts, and that's quite a bit of posting. If you think about, 4 or 5 times a week on each one, that's like maybe 10 posts. And then once they are posted, it starts over. So you say you post 10 posts in a week, and then it goes to the next week, your slate is clean. So we're just going to look at what my awesome staff assistant has done. She is really great and has taken this on. She's never done really anything like this before. And when I got this new coordinator role, I just had full confidence in her. And she's only been doing this for like a month, and she's great. She's rocking it. So this shows some of the posts that she sent out. So this is like our past stuff. We talked about At the bottom, you see our portfolio and training info meeting. She posted that. They've been doing these like tricky tidbit Tuesdays, I think is what they're called. They're tricky tidbits about holiday food safety from our FCS agent, because our FCS agent is very knowledgeable and we want to get her information out there. This one is a link about cows and moving and why it's like hard on them to move facilities often. But then we'll post things like, if we go back, this was our Arctic challenge. We talked about holidays. So she literally just scheduled like a week's worth of posts. And I think it takes, once you get your posts down, it takes maybe half an hour to draft everything. And then you don't have to do anything the rest of the week. Monitor your page still, but it's really awesome for scheduling out graphics. So again, here's like the Instagram stuff that she's sending out. Like, this was so funny. She sent this out when our livestock checks finally came in, and it just was perfect. So anyway, that's Hootsuite. So let's say I wanted to post this graphic. I'm going to download this graphic as a PNG or a JPEG. We'll download it, and there's always some cute, inspiring quote, get you in the design mood. Okay, so now it's in my downloads, and let's say I want to create a new post that goes here. And don't worry, Courtney, I won't actually post it. So she's scheduled 30 of the 30 scheduled messages. So what's that saying is like, you just can't send this out live. But we would just say, hey, Cache County 4-Hers, come to this fun camp. Wow. $10 a kid. I wouldn't say kid, but then you just upload. And your post is scheduled for Instagram. So then you just hit this schedule button and it's there. You don't have to try to get it on your phone or try to remember to post it from your phone, because sometimes it's really hard to post things from our phones. I get it. So that's Hootsuite. Once I've done Hootsuite, I then move on to MailChimp. MailChimp, again, is one of my favorite resources that I've used to grow our marketing here in Cache County, because we had access to like 3,000 emails. And so we were able to create this MailChimp for our entire office. And then on MailChimp, I have tags of people who have said they're interested in ag, horticulture, FCS, 4-H, that kind of stuff. And then we just send out these email blasts. So we have specific ones that are about like events. So this one was about a retirement event we did, or these were portfolio nights that I sent out. The great way for this too is you can see who's opened it and who hasn't. So when you have that person that says, I didn't get the email, you actually can say, oh, I did see it. But anyway, the other thing that we do on MailChimp is we do November email blasts. And I think it's super important for a county office to do monthly email blasts, because it really helps remind people of what's happening in the county. And if you add like your county commissioners to the email blast, then they can see what extension is doing and they don't question maybe what's happening down there. But I love being able to send these out. So this is just an example of what Courtney made. We always do the extension logo at the top, and then we just say like a little snippet. So like this month, our Create Better Health Utah Cache County team was awarded the County of the Year. And so we just recognize them. Then we say, don't forget to follow us. Then we put little graphics in for all the little tiny things that are happening that we made in Canva. So we would just say like portfolio training, and then Harlem Globetrotters are coming to Cache County. So that's like a 4-H discount that they've given our youth, the calf sale, our lunch seminar, maker meetup. And then we would have a section that we just called Save the Dates, of things that are not necessarily in November, but they're coming down the pipe and we wanted people to be aware of. So that's something that you can kind of toy around with and make happen in your county. And again, I did all of this when I was a staff assistant. I just took it on because I felt like it needed to happen. And it has been super fun for me to see the counties to grow. I think that that's one of the most rewarding parts of marketing, is realizing marketing isn't just sales. You have to give them knowledge and you have to build yourself up as a credible source. Or when you have these events, people won't come because they don't know who Extension is. So once I have a MailChimp campaign, I actually would just download this real estate flyer or this flyer that we made. And I'm gonna download it as a PN, or not a PDF, I don't want PDF. I want PNG. There we go. And then I will upload it into MailChimp. So let's say I'm gonna create a campaign, an email. My campaign name is Test Photography Camp. And then my recipient. So this is where those tags come in that I was mentioning. So this audience, this is our entire list that we have for Cache County. And then in this list, I have specific people. So if I'm doing a 4-H photography camp, I might send it to just all active 4-H members or just 4-H general interest. But I want people who aren't necessarily part of 4-H right now to know about it. So I would send it to everybody. But let's say I'm doing one about the horse club or the community horse club ride nights that they have. I'm only going to send it to people who've paid the horse fee because only they need to know. And you can get a lot of those emails from 4-H Online. We've gotten it from like marketing, like having people fill out a survey and then they get added to our list, or people coming into our office saying like, I'd like to get more information about when you start Master Gardeners. How do I get on that? And we say, oh, let us add you to our email list. So that's where we get those emails. So we're gonna just keep it going to everybody because I want anybody who has a kid to be able to get that email. So then you will be who it's from. So if you don't want to get a million automatic responses, don't put your own email there. You could probably set up just like a basic no reply email. I put my email there because a lot of people respond to the emails to me directly, and I like to see that. I don't want them to feel like they can't talk to me. So then you'll add a subject. Photography camp starting soon. So that's your subject line, but your preview text is the kind of little preview text that, or the little snippet, I guess, that comes up in your email before the actual body. So it'd be like 4-H photography camp. I don't know. And then you'll save it and move on to your content. And I think there's also a webinar through marketing about MailChimp that goes more in depth that you can watch to get kind of more basic details about what this is. I always use the basic formula because I design all my email blasts in Canva first because I don't like the design on MailChimp, but you can design the entire MailChimp email in MailChimp. I just prefer to use Canva. So then the logo, this is where we would put in, like, I have a specific header I use for 4-H, if it'll pull up. There we go. So I just use this one for when it's specifically 4-H. So that way people remember if they see this in the top of their email what it is. But then I am also, okay, I'm going to delete that little block. So these things are called content blocks. And there's like templates you can follow in MailChimp, but I end up deleting them and putting in my own because, like I said, I don't like it. But we're going to put an image here, which that image is going to be the flyer. So this flyer we just downloaded, and I'm going to drop it in there. So it's the exact same flyer that people would see around the community, and it's the exact same branding people would see on social media. And then I would also add at the bottom the extension logo, just so people keep those two together in their mind. So I already uploaded the white logo that is for this. If I can find it. Oh, there it is. So then we have the logo at the bottom. And then these you can link out to your social media just by editing them. So we don't have a Twitter, but we have a Facebook. So this would be USU extension.cachecounty. And we also have an Instagram. Where's Instagram? There we go. And since this one is 4-H specific, I'm just going to tag the Cache County 4-H Instagram. But you can put other ones in here as well. And then I would just send that out to my list. And it's super fun when you go to send out a list because it has this like sweating chimp. And it's like, do you really want to send this? But it's fun. So then that's the MailChimp. So I've covered a lot. I've covered Hootsuite, Canva, and MailChimp. I've talked about how to manage your social media, how to do it on a weekly basis, talked about how to get events out there, and then I've talked about how to make graphics to post. The last place that I would remind you to post your events is on the extensions calendar. So this is kind of the, I don't know, I think this is overlooked a lot, which it shouldn't be, because when people Google USU extension events, this is kind of what comes up. And if you're not on here as a county, then people are like, oh, there's nothing going on in my county, when you could be doing tons of awesome programming. So it's really self-explanatory to submit an event down here. You just scroll to the bottom of the calendar and submit an event, and then fill out all the information here. When it asks for a thumbnail, I just give them the same little PNG that I put on my Facebook page. So after I've done all that, my event is ready to go. And it's really great and easy to be able to do all of it. And like, seriously, it might take me a half an hour to do all this stuff. But then you know that your event is getting out there and it's being published and it's being seen. And it shows that Extension is helping people, because that's what we do in Extension. So that's kind of what I was going to show you. Do we have any questions? I don't see any questions. Oh, yes, there is a way to change font. I will go back. So Canva just recently upgraded their font options, which are bomb, because I'm kind of a font snob and I hate like cheesy fonts. So if we just typed in 4-H photography camp, you can upload the extension fonts into Canva. It's kind of a process, but there's a really good YouTube video I've watched and it makes it easier. So I try to use extension fonts when it's something that maybe is a little more official, but for like the impact sheets, I use extension fonts on, but for a graphic like this, I don't. So if you change the font, Canva has this new ability. When you search in Canva, you can type in like, I want a script font. So you type in script and it brings up all the fonts that are script. So here's the extension font. For some reason, when it does a dash, it does this weird little thing. I don't know what that is. But there's the extension Thirsty script, or one that I use a lot is called Hoya. I think that's how you'd say that. Jola? I don't know. Joella, whatever. So I use that one. So there's a script font, or like Jelly Cream is fun. So you can type in to get script. If you want a handwritten font, you can type in handwritten and it pulls up all of these fonts that are considered handwritten by Canva. They tag them themselves. Once you get going with Canva more, you'll find that you have like your favorite fonts that you tend to lean towards. I uploaded Avenir because that's just my go-to font for like everything simple, very clean. You can type in serif for serif font. Serifs are the little kind of like tick marks on the bottom of each letter, these things right here. So there's serif fonts, and then there's sans serif fonts that are thinner. They're more clean. Sans serif is more modern. Serif is more not professional. Serif is more, I don't want to say snooty, but that's like what I think. Or you can do like outline. So there's this really cool one called Bungee, I think is what it was called. Yeah, Bungee outline. There we go. I love Bungee. Or this one. So that's how you change fonts in Canva. Then you can also change the color. You can change the size. You can change the spacing in your letters. So I would do something like this. I'd say Cache County. So it's like nice and big and bold. And the difference between this Cache County, and if we change this to playlist, And we want playlist to look like it actually is cursive. I move my letters closer together. Something like that. That's how you change fonts in Canva. What else? Is Hootsuite free? So Hootsuite is free unless you want more posts. They're really tricky in getting free Hootsuite, but there is a way. You just have to they don't like to let people know that it's free, but it is for, I think you can have up to 3 profiles and 30 posts scheduled. So on our Hootsuite, we have the Cache County 4-H Instagram, the USU Extension Cache County Instagram, and then our Facebook page. And then how do you determine how to best target your audience? So audience, I always use this analogy. It's like hunting. If I'm going to go out and I'm going to hunt a duck, I don't hunt. So this is going to be a really good analogy. But if I'm going out, I know exactly where my ducks are going to be, what their attitudes are, what their behaviors are, and then I target and I set up and I wait for my ducks, and I am where the ducks are. And where a duck is not going to be the same place where a bear is. So I like to do like an audience breakdown. I say, where does my audience hang out? What do they wear? What are their attitudes towards X, Y, and Z? Because the way you target a stay-at-home mom is way different than you target a grandpa. And yes, there are grandpas on Facebook. In fact, a lot of our agriculture stuff comes from older men who are just sitting, and they're great. They're fun to have on our Facebook page. So I love to determine, a lot of times to target your audience, you need to, I'm trying to think of what the word is. You need to know them before you can actually get at them. And sometimes it's experimentation. Maybe my audience for my 4-H kids, they're not on Instagram. I'm going to try Snapchat for my 4-H kids and targeting them and getting them on Snapchat, because they will not text me back. They will not message me on Instagram when I ask them questions, but they'll snap message me all day long. So that's an experiment that I'm going to try. I'm trying to think. That's kind of the basics of figuring out your audience. But once you know your audience, it's way easier to target them and to understand where they're at. That would be my suggestion. And then you mentioned adding your county commissioners to your MailChimp. Yeah, so I talked to some of the county people. So like, what's her name in our Cache County? I think it's Janine. And she sends it to the county council. So I just kind of say, here's what's going on. And then she should just disperse it that way. So that way your commissioners know what's happening in your county, and then they can be informed. Okay, Jennifer. She said, all your original graphics. I have them right. Okay, so this is a really great question. And maybe Aubrey will have to tell me if I'm wrong here. But for things like social media posts and for email blasts, I try to make sure the logo's on it as much as possible. But for bigger projects, big print things, obviously apparel, swag, I always send to marketing. But for a small flyer that's going on my Instagram page that's going to be there for a day, I don't, and maybe I should, so I don't know. Aubrey says no.
Nope, I think you're doing it right. The only time we need to approve stuff if you're using your P card to pay for it.
There you go.
Then you'll need our approval. But if it's just something that you are printing in your office, for example, then we don't need to see it. Like, if you have questions, please send it to us, and we would love to look at it and give you suggestions on anything. But
awesome. Okay, I don't know if you heard that, but she said if you're using your P card to pay for something, yes, they need to approve it. But if it's something that's being printed in-house or just going on Facebook, they don't necessarily need to approve it. And I figured if it was really, really bad, they would have said something to me by now. But it hasn't been bad. And the branding and the marketing designs, it is very important to keep them consistent. So that's why I said I try to keep the greens and the logos on. And I try to stay kind of in the same font family. So when I design, like I said, I use Avenir. When I design my my teen council logo is the same font that I use for like our font or our like year poster. So it's consistent that way. But people are more recognizing of colors and logos than I think maybe fonts. So as long as you're sticking to the guidelines for things that will be purchased with your P card, then I think you're fine. Are there any other questions?
And swag. You're right on swag. We love.
Oh yeah. Swag. Yeah. If it's swag or t-shirts, like send it to marketing because that would be, anyway, I'll show you our teen council swag. I haven't gotten approved yet, but just kidding. This is what I want to make. Hang on. It'll look super cool. So our teen council is just starting in Cache County. Well, I should say we are resurrecting it. It used to be a thing and I don't know where it went, and now it's a thing again. Like I said, this has not necessarily been approved, but this is, like, I designed my mock-up on Canva because I wanted to see it. So this is like kind of what we're thinking of doing, is this like lead, serve, grow is kind of our teen council motto. I don't know what the teens are going to pick. I don't know if they're going to like it. I just was messing around with it. So anyway, I hope that answers that question. Is there anything else people want to know? I'm happy to help as long as it's just like simple questions. Marketing is also really good. Aubrey's awesome. She understands all of this stuff, and they have amazing webinars that you can watch, go back and watch about more details about how to use these campaign or how to use these programs. My idea and my purpose today was to explain how staff assistants can do it. And so that just kind of brings me to the end. You know, staff assistants, this is so doable. Like I said, Courtney, she's my incredible staff assistant in Cache County. She just picked up how to do this like a month ago, and she's already just pro. I mean, she's designing the heck out of stuff. She's figured out how to use Canva. It's so intuitive, and it really is for anybody. And the more that I feel like we market our events, the more impact we can have on our communities. And ultimately, that's the point of Extension, is to be professors of the people and to share the knowledge that the university has. So if there's not any more questions, I think we'll just call it good. Okay, thanks everybody. Bye.